My name's Kirstin Forbes. I'm the COO of Silicon Sisters Interactive, which is a startup video game development studio for making girl games, women making games for other women. I've been making video games for near on 15 years now. I worked up through the ranks from, production manager to producer to executive producer. I worked at Radical Entertainment for years, which was purchased by Vivendi Universal and subsequently merged with Activision. And then, after many years of doing that, of kind of making games for guys and learning the industry from the console perspective, my partner and myself, Brenda Bailey-Gershkovich, decided to go out and start our own studio. So that's what we did. Well, the fact that SIGGRAPH's in Vancouver, I got to tell you, even though I've been in video games for 15 years and have been a producer, I always send my people. I've never sent myself to SIGGRAPH before. It's the guys on the floor who need this stuff and need this information, so I've always sent them. And this is my first time, and it's really by virtue of proximity. That's why I'm here. Oh, everything. I mean, forget about Canada. I'm from Toronto, but working in Vancouver is absolutely incredible. Drawing talent to this city is easy because it's so beautiful and there's so much going on. Being the backyard of Silicon Valley and having worked with, huge American companies hiring us and teaching us. I mean, it feels like the industry in Vancouver has completely grown up on the back of work for hire, out of California, which has been fantastic. So now it's a great, strong industry of really, really well-rounded and really experienced people who have been making games on many platforms, a variety of technologies and genres and platforms for many, many years. So it's a really mature industry in Vancouver now. The strengths are the years of experience that we've had, on someone else's back, I guess. Back when I started, 12, 10, even 8 years ago, the business model was essentially that the discrepancy in foreign exchange between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar was our profit margin. So there were years and years where we made great money because they paid us a US buck, we paid our people a Canadian buck, and the margin there was how we made our money, and we learned so much and really grew up based on that simple business model. So it was a beautiful thing, and now of course that's changed. There's parity, but nonetheless, we've got this fantastic experience and creativity and great schools. I got to tell you, when I started out, there weren't great schools. Now there are, and lots of in design, in art, in animation, in programming. Well, there always wasn't programming at the university level, but in all the other fields, particularly in game design, which is a esoteric and freaking hard thing to teach. And now there are a lot of good schools, churning out really good designers, so that makes a huge difference in the industry. Silicon Sisters has just released 2 games. The first one was School 26, which is a high school game for teens and tweens, which is based on the emotion of empathy, of actually, attaching a video game mechanic to an emotion, something as kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Nebulous as that. So that was really cool. School 26, it's on all the iOS devices and on Android. And then we put out a sequel to that, which is called School 26 Summer of Secrets, and it just released literally weeks ago, and also on iOS. So look for it there. My tip always was, especially for students and people starting out, was start small. I mean, there's such a huge proliferation now of different kinds of gaming platforms, like mobile devices and Facebook, and just all over your PC, and all, you don't have to sort of be on the big console anymore. So that was my tip. Start small. But I was proven wrong, because a very clever guy who graduated from the Center for Digital Media, I gave him exactly that advice, and he said, forget about you. And he got a job on Prototype, which is an enormous project with an enormous budget on a very high-end consoles, and he started big and has been very successful. So my tip would be, because there's such a broad range of places to work now, from really small startups to really huge companies, I would say start small, but sometimes I'm wrong. Where would I like to see the industry go? I would like it to be even more accessible. I mean, for us, you know, as women making video games, the relief is that we're seeing in the under 12 age group that accessibility and familiarity with computational skills and PCs and phones have equalized. You know, girls are no longer getting shoved aside in the computer labs at school, et cetera, et cetera. So fantastic that for 12 and under, you know, there is now equal familiarity and access to, you know, all kinds of computers and so on. But in terms of video game platforms, yeah, I'd like to see them even more accessible, more proliferation, more, yeah, like to everyone to have something, a good smartphone, you know, a good phone that they can play something on, and to have a little bit of, you know, not having to have multiple devices for multiple things all the time, you know. Not a DS and an iPhone and an iPad and you know, whatever. More more high-end mobile devices that are Swiss Army knives, right? Where you can get a whole bunch of entertainment and functionality in one device, and we can put our games on there, and everyone can find them and have access.